Soapbox. The street corner soapbox with Falso and Willin. Podcast takeover. We're making a killing. Music to nightlife. Debauchery and street news. Serving it hot. We are some street news, movies and mayhem. The craziest guests, words from chaos. Get it off our chest. Rhode Island, worldwide, dark corners in all places. Speak how we live, radio show, smoking aces. Ladies and gents, for the people we're talking. Take the show on the road, right where you're walking. Yeah.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Street Corner Soapbox Podcast coming to you live.
That's right, boys and girls. Street Corner Soapbox. I am back with my brother, Lord Willin.
Yo. Great guest today, Gunner Lindbloom. How you doing?
Gunner, what's up?
How you doing, guys?
Good, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
No problem, bro. I'm moving right now. I went to get my mic and try to give you guys a better sound quality. It ran real quick, but I should be back in a good, stable spot right here.
Yeah, you sound good.
Yeah,
you sound good.
good.
So for those, I was just going to say, for those that don't know, Gunner is a former Detroit Mob Associate criminal and reformed criminal, I should say, and author of 9 books. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. 9 novels.
9 novels. And so make sure you look him up and go out there and support what he's doing. Go check the novels out.
Got a Patreon you can hit up to.
Yeah. Gunner, what's your Patreon?
Gunner Detroit. Just Patreon. It's patreon.com/Gunner Detroit.
Okay, and we will post all those links for you and anything else that you got going on promo-wise. So why don't you get into your background? Obviously, like I said, you were an associate of the Detroit Mob, the Mafia family in Detroit, the partnership as it's called. A lot of people might not be familiar with it. They're kind of pretty much stayed out of the headlines.
Yeah, which is a good thing.
Well, from a criminal standpoint, it's a good thing.
Yeah. It's just one of the things that definitely makes Detroit different than other families. Quiet, but that's kind of by design, like you said. It's growing up, it's funny, now I'm a writer as a novelist. I write novels, and 2 of the novels that I wrote are about a fictional mafia family. So, the reason I decided to publish those 2 novels first was simply because I knew I could take some of my past or my history and kind of leverage it as a way to propel my book sales, and it's worked, and I've done it. But but being around everything when I was a kid, I kind of come up and I look at. I lived in New York for 3 years too, so I had a good way to juxtapose that kind of the culture, if you call it. They're not getting all literary sounding, but there's a different culture in Detroit. When you're growing up, I kind of grew up in a mafia family. It's very, very quiet and weird, and it's not a lot of the projection of being in the mafia. In fact, it's the opposite. You're really trained to believe, not just believe, but to project that, it's legitimacy or whatever. To not be like that. And that's kind of how you're. It still has the exact same La Cosa Nostra rules. It's still exactly the same. But the actual culture of saying, putting themselves out there, like in New York, for example, there's a kid in the neighborhood, he's a bad kid, coming up rough, doing a lot of fighting, freaking stealing, getting in trouble. The neighborhood, wise guys, they notice that. And so they might want to recruit him a little bit. And then he kind of sees that wise guy in the neighborhood, it's always at the pool hall or whatever. Everybody respects him, everybody likes him, so that he projects the fact that he's in the mob. That's kind of what they do. And then that's
like a Bronx Tale.
Culture. What's that?
It's like Sonny in a Bronx Tale.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, listen, every freaking major mafia player you ever heard in your life started that way for the most part. Started just as a bad kid. Believe me, I know I was that kid. That's how I got there. I mean, I've had this conversation with Sammy the Bull himself, me and him on a Zoom call. We talked about how we were both 15 years old when we got expelled from school. So, I mean, at 15 years old, I was expelled. I went straight to the streets, getting in trouble, selling dope, buying and selling stolen stuff so I could flip, make money, anything. Just basically associating nothing with bad guys and dropouts and losers and scumbags. And that was kind of my school of itself growing up. But the culture, like I said, is different where the guys in Detroit don't try to really project it that much because that's not the way the boss wants. The boss is always super low profile, keep everything low key, even keeps the media in his pocket so they don't freaking run articles and crap on.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's supposed to be. So now Cruz, everybody knows everybody, or most of its family too. That's another thing unique about Detroit. It's almost exclusively several families that kind of intermarry their daughters and sons, and most of the kids grow up to be professionals, and they don't want nothing to do with life. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way the parents want it. They raise them and go put them in college and say go do it. But a few there's a few bad apples, and they fall off the freaking tree and end up like me, guys like me. They're bad guys. But it's one of those things that growing up, like we couldn't even say the word mafia. I said it one time, I got smacked. My grandpa just said our thing. Say our thing. I don't say the word mafia. My grandpa wasn't a violent dude. He never smacked me. I don't think he'd ever smacked me before, and I said it. So I was like, why does everybody think we're in the mafia? Bang!
You're gonna scrum.
And your grandfather was one of the Tocco brothers, right?
Peter Tocco, yeah.
Peter Tocco, yep. So he was a boss.
So he was. I mean, in a way, he was the boss. He wasn't the boss. Jack Tocco was the boss.
Okay.
That was his cousin. But I mean, they were very close. They only 9 years apart in age, and they lived in the same cul-de-sac, same 3-block radius for their whole freaking life. They're both street guys, wise guys. They both came up doing the exact same thing. But anyways, their fathers were raised as cousins. So, or excuse me, their fathers were cousins raised as brothers. They didn't even know they weren't brothers until later. One of them got murdered. That's a whole long story. Like, it's an insane story that I don't even like talking about it. So, a guy killed my great grandfather, and it basically was allowed to get away with it. But he did something. I believe that there was no choice. There was a violation of Cosa Nostra. It's a rule. It's what you do. If you sleep with another man's wife, all you have to do is go to the boss and say, "I'm going to kill this guy. Slept with my wife," and you're going to get a green light.
Yeah.
They're going to, kill him. So I think that's what happened. I don't know for sure. But I know there's certain things, rules that you break, and that's one of them. One thing in Detroit, that's another thing that's very unique about Detroit too. The value of women that if you disrespect somebody's daughter, a wife, you're in big trouble. It'll kill you for real. It's not even something that they play with. If you slept with a guy's daughter or disrespected his wife or tried to hit on a wife or anything, he just go to the boss and say, "Listen, man, this is what he did." And if he believes you, then it's it. The guy's dead. That's it. The whole family will plot his murder. So let's figure out a way to get rid of him. So I don't like scumbags like that. But anyway, so yeah, one thing that's different about growing up in Detroit was it's quieter. They kept very secretive. That's the way they want it. That's the orders are. Listen, one time the boss himself saw me pull up at my grandparents' house, and my Mustang, it was pretty tricked out Mustang, black, tinted windows, big, wide, deep dish rims on it, sound system bumping, boom, boom, boom. I pull up, so many damn Cadillacs and Lincolns coming to go for a house that I don't even pay attention to them, and I didn't even think that was Jack Tocco's Cadillac in the driveway, and so I come up bumping, walk in the house, and he don't say a whole lot to me because I'm a kid, I'm a teenage kid. And he usually speaks to my grandpa in Italian most of the time. So anyways, and he knows my mother, and I'm not close to him. And so I walk in, he goes, "Why don't you get rid of that stupid Mustang and freaking get your pickup truck?" He says, while you're at it, freaking lose that stupid gold chain. That's what he said. He said, "Why don't you get rid of that Mustang and lose that stupid gold chain?" He said, "You ain't a rapper." What he says, he's like, "You ain't a rapper." And I'm like, dang, he really cut into me about that hard. And I took it to heart. So I sold the Mustang and stopped wearing the chain. And in fact, that was the last day I ever wore a big gold chain that day after that. The boss tells you, you look like an asshole, man. You must be an asshole.
Yeah.
So,
Gunner, it sounds like the Detroit family stayed closer to the Sicilian roots of being secretive and really following the rules. And we see that a lot of American families have strayed from that over the years.
Oh, man. Yeah. No, listen, that's 100% the truth, man. Everything's old world, and stuck to the codes and the laws and the rules. They're old school as hell, man. But that's how they manage. That's how they survive.
That's what the rules were for.
Yeah, it seems like they haven't had a lot of informants over the years or anything. They've maintained that low profile.
And everybody's married. Everybody's married to each other.
It's all intertwined in the family.
Yeah, so that's like the best way to keep it going.
Yeah, everybody is mostly it's intermarried for sure. And there's only one rat, only been one guy who ever flipped. And dude, if I told you that story alone, it'd blow your freaking mind. It's just they found the guy in witness protection. I really can't say much more than that, but I will say they found him, and they let him walk. They let him walk. So, and there's a reason for that too. The whole thing is a big crazy twist. And dude, listen, the boss of the family was convicted of RICO for running the mob. At the time he got convicted, it was like 30 years, and he only got a year and a half in jail. First it was a year, and then the prosecutor flipped out, said that wasn't enough, brought him back, and had him resentenced for another 9 months. At the end of the day, this is a guy convicted of being the head of the Detroit Mafia Associate for 30 years, RICO and all this other stuff, and they this is what they give him. So basically, everybody knew that he had bought the judge or whatever. So they had the judge in the pocket, nothing you can do. But that's how they operate. They are old school. That's what I will say. Sure. This. They will spend years putting somebody in place and position. In fact, Jimmy Hoffa is a perfect example of that. I did a show with Scott Bernstein yesterday, recorded a show with Scott Bernstein about Hoffa. And basically, the Detroit mob had mastered the art of disinformation. And anyway, I'm boring with the whole Hoffa thing, but yeah, I would say compared to the new wave like thing in America, opposed to the old school Sicilian, yeah, very very much like old Sicily over there.
Do you think that's part of the downfall of the American mafia, that they strayed kind of from those old Sicilian roots and became too famous?
Well, yeah, no, it's not even a question of that. I mean, it is the more you put yourself on Front Street, as they say, the more they're going to you're going to have a target on your back, and the cops, the feds, they don't give a shit. I mean, they make $50,000 a year, whether they win or whether they lose. They don't care. They'll never stop. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just keep coming, and the more you put it in you got to outsmart them. The whole game of organized crime and mafia is to basically, listen. The whole point of it is to make a bunch of money, provide for your family, and die a free man, with having served as little time in prison as possible. That's the goal. That's the whole and only purpose, is provide for your Borgata, the community, which means your family, everyone around, with money you want. Vacation homes, you want everything paid for, college for everybody, beautiful business seated, running, operating, all this stuff. That's the goal. Not to go, hey, by the way, I'm a capitalist now. Not to put it out there. Now, you're not supposed to go, by the way, everyone, I'm a capitalist now. Kiss the ring, blah, blah, blah. Look at me, go do this and that. Oh, wait a minute. That guy freaking scuffed my shoe 10 years ago. I want to whack him. You know what I'm saying? you gotta keep it, in reason. Keep it. I think that's what happened with, like, families in New York, for example. Philadelphia is a whole nother one. I mean, Nicky Scarpo was, like, the first one to go turn into a homicidal maniac.
Right.
And, but New York did the same thing. Through almost every family had some freaking war or homicidal maniac. So you have great Scarpas. You have all the different stories. It's easy to. I mean, once it starts going up a domino. So I'm just saying, I'm grateful in Detroit. I'm not a mafia guy. I'm not in the mafia. I wouldn't even never really considered myself in the mafia, to be honest with you. If somebody would have asked me, even back then, are you part of no? I said, no. The reason for that is my uncle always told me, no, you ain't part of nothing. You know what I'm saying? You're lucky. You're the fetto, he called me, halfway. He's like, you can walk away. He's like, these guys, most of them are scared of you. They're all scared of you anyway. You're freaking lunatic. So what do you care? So what do they care? What do you care if you took an oath, take an oath, man? Then you got to pay them more money. He's like, F it, you got lucky, man. Consider do what you do. And I ran around like a freaking lunatic. Sometimes I needed their help. Sometimes I didn't. Lots of times I pissed people off. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't want anybody to go think, mafia is good life for anyone. Life sucks. I went to prison for 13 years just for being involved in, crime and organized crime and around crime. It's all I knew. It's not fun, though. You go on my YouTube channel. I got 140 shows. that are me telling stories, war stories about my wife in the past. Most of it, some of it crazy stuff, a lot of it mafia stuff. Anyway, that, they're all funny when you listen to them. They're like, damn, dude, that was a crazy story. You think it's crazy. And then it ends with, and then I ended up in prison for 13 years. So I laid in a cell in a cage with a freaking stinking-ass monkey for freaking 13 years, pecking away at a typewriter, knocking out 9 novels, making the best of it. But life is not a good freaking life, bro. Not even close to a good life. It wasn't for me. I mean, I know guys who are old men who died millionaires. So, but I'm also not condoning that lifestyle. To get there, they did bad things. They hurt people. They, some of them killed people. So you don't want to. That ain't the route you want to go in life.
Yeah. What's your YouTube channel for everyone out there listening?
Gunner Detroit.
Gunner Detroit. So everyone.
Gunner Detroit.
Everyone check out Gunner Detroit. Now, Gunner, is there, obviously you said you have all your stories on there. Is there one story maybe you could tell us right now, and then people will go and check out everything else on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, no, I can do. I'm trying to think of a good one. Anything. What was it? I mean,
yeah, anything.
I got some. Well, I will tell you, just to give you an idea of what I did, for example, there's so many, guys like me in Detroit, in New York too, New Jersey, New York, Philly, wherever you have a large population of like Italians, but large population in general. But Italians and Irish seem to be the ones that always end up freaking getting in trouble. And so a lot of people will relate to this, the guy that I was, but basically I was kind of like a soldier for hire, but really, my uncle was my boss. My uncle Sal Tocco, or Pete Tocco, excuse me. That Sal was his older brother. But I wouldn't say I reported to Sal. I say Sal gave me direction and helped me and was influential. But my uncle Pete was the one that really just brought me into the life. And so eventually, well, I'll tell you a quick story. I'm gonna tell you a real good story. Here's the one. So this is how I became ingratiated to a guy named Tony Giacalone. So,
okay.
Do you guys know who that is?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. His daughter married my cousin. So now we're family through marriage. And that, which is my second cousin, my mother's first cousin. So, I don't know, it makes him my second cousin. He's like freaking 15 years older, 17 years older. Well, so anyways, I started seeing him a lot, and my grandpa's eyes were going bad, so he drove really bad. So I started saying, "Hey, Grandpa, let me drive you. I don't want to freaking, crash." Well, keep in mind, I'm going somewhere with this, but just to tell you where, kind of how I ended up in the position I was in, and where I was, my position within the family. I mean, there's so much you have to listen. I got 100 shows, so you can do so many more. But I'm going to give you one how I got to ingratiated with Tony Jack. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. It's simply because he knew I was a tough guy. He heard about the fights, me tearing up nightclubs, fighting and crashing this and all that. He knows who I am. And one time, his nephew was getting picked on, and he called me. He just said, "Hey, listen." Actually, his sister called me. He said, "Hey, listen, they're picking on Tony." The long story short is I went there and I freaking I didn't actually smack somebody around this time. I just warned these kids. I said, "Listen, you touch my cousin. You cannot come back here and smash every one of you." There were like 8 kids, and they're all back in this house playing basketball, and I freaking punked this whole crew out. And so that kind of impressed them a little bit. And then about a month or two later, his girl, I guess her ex-boyfriend, showed up. She's got a good Gumar, girl on the side. And her ex-boyfriend showed up, kind of drunk, came home, smacked her around. And then passed out. And so he called him and told him what happened. He's freaking outraged. This guy that freaking you don't want married. This is the guy freaking, this guy that I ended up going smashing for him was lucky that's all he got was smashed. He could have definitely got a bullet, and I'm just, especially a girlfriend too, he got lucky. Maybe he killed him later on, I don't know. But he told me to go over there and freaking handle this freaking dude. So it was early in the morning, he called me like 7:30 in the morning. And I called my workout partner, Dario. I said, "Come on, we got some work to do." And right away, Dario was like, "Do I need my piece?" I'm like, No, bring a pool stick or something. And he did, brought a pool stick. And so we shoot for this house, and I got to go up these back stairs on the second floor, like flat, like a 2-story house. She runs upstairs. So I got to go up these stairs. I knock on the door, and she answers quietly. I said, "Where's this freaking dude?" She had passed out in the back. Well, long story short is I freaking went back there, grabbed the dude by the hair, and smashed him. I had this big gold ring, big huge nugget ring on too. I just pounded his face, and like I really only hit him like 4 or 5 times. But the reason why I really smashed him because I hit the wall with a bam, bam, bam. Wake up, mother effer! He kind of looks up at me and like, after you. I said, time to go, and I grabbed him by the hair, and he starts trying to follow him to drag him out. He starts trying to fight, like swing on me. So I ended up pulverizing him. You know, just smashed him 5 or 6 times, knocked him out, pretty much out. Dario smashed him with a pool stick a couple times. And then I drag him out down the stairs. Blah, 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 blah. He's bleeding all over the freaking place. Blood everywhere. I splattered him. And the whole time he's yelling, who the F are you? Who the F are you? And I'm yelling, I'm the freaking boogeyman, man. The guy shows up and he freaking put your hands on a girl. So, yeah, so I get him into his van and he's busted up bad. And he goes to get, I said, now get the F out of here. And he asked me, he's like, who are you? I told him, man, I'm the bad guy. I said, next time. And he says, look what you did to my face. I said, man, next time you put your hands on a woman, I said, you need a surgeon to put your face together. I get the frick out of here. I act like I was going to smack him or whatever. I start to shut the door because I walked him right up into the van. And he starts reaching under his seat like he's going for a gun. So I yanked the door up. What the that? I grabbed him. He was going for a crowbar. He had a crowbar under there. So I yanked it out of his hand. That's like I was going to smack him with it. He told me to get out of here. I almost smacked him with it. So, and then he leaves. But moral is, that girl, she told Tony, she's like, yeah, I don't know who this guy was that you sent over here, but he just, he handled his freaking business. He just came straight in here, smashed the dude, mollywopped him, dragged him out, told him, go, if you ever come back, I'll kill you. So now Tony sees me as like a pit bull. You know what I'm saying? He's like, this freaking Alonzo, man. He gets stuff done. Every time I've ever asked him to do anything, he gets it done, but pretty quick. So then he started asking me to wear poker security at like poker games, dice games, and then casino nights and other like venues, weddings and things like that. Kind of use me as security, which was fine for me. I mean, he always paid me pretty good, and I learned the game. That's one of the things I did. I learned the game. I learned 3 dice game. I learning. He taught me to play 3 dice. Once I knew how to play 3 dice, it was like I had a license to steal. So I basically put $1,000 in my pocket, hit every party or anywhere I go, and I'll take all bets. Let's go. Playing 3 dice in the play of 4, 5, 6. So basically, people get scared of the bank. They don't want a house. They don't want to hit up match all bets. As long as you got enough money to match all bets, you're gonna win 3 out of 5. So I mean, you just gotta keep playing. That's what I do. So I did that, and then these poker games, and I'll wrap it up with telling you that, I mean, stupidly, Tony got me to had me play poker games. Work security at poker games, and I would go on later steal those players. I'd scab his players and have my own poker games. And then he found out about it, got really pissed off at me. And at one point, he didn't talk to me for like a freaking year over that. And the first time I did it, I didn't know they were his players. It was some other dude, Game Nino, when I was working security. I didn't know Nino was his guy, so I didn't know. I didn't know the game was really his, or he was getting a piece of it or whatever. In the basement of a strip club on 8 Mile, and so I did it. And then he freaking yelled. My grandpa yelled at me. And then I did it again, and he came and met me at my grandparents' house and asked me how much money I cut out of that game. He didn't say nothing. He just called me. He said, "Listen, Uncle Tony here wants to see you." I said, "Oh, here we go." And I kind of had a feeling, and I knew I was in trouble, but not really that much trouble. And I go down there, and he's in the basement, and I'm like, "Oh." And he says, "How much you cut in that game?" I'm like, "I don't know," because I was hoping he would say something else, like, it wouldn't be nothing major, wouldn't be nothing that he knew. Like, "How much you cut in that game?" I'm like, 5. He's like, "You owe me 6. I'll wait." So, and I'm like, you kidding me? And Grandpa's like, "Nah, go get the money." And I'm like, "Get the frick out of here." I didn't even have 6. I had to go, I don't know what I did with the money, but I just remember I had to go to my friend's Pat, who owned a bar, who lived a couple of miles away, and freaking I had to go borrow a couple grand from him and give it to him. And then I ended up doing it again, and then that time I got warned, like, it's over. Like, don't do it no more. And it was a serious warning. That was the end of it.
So you were basically you started off as like an enforcer and knock around guy for your uncle. What
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
What other criminal activity did you get into around this time?
Oh, I mean, honestly, dude, I was involved in so much criminal activity. What wasn't I involved in?
Yeah.
Nothing major. It was just petty stuff like, drugs, stolen property. I had a little crew of guys that go out and steal stuff. They'd break into houses and steal stuff and then bring it to me, and I'd buy it with weed, which is, penny on a dollar. Then I had my uncle's boy owned a pawn shop, and I'd bring it over there and sell all this stuff. Then we started doing a pawn shop swap with Chicago. We had some guys in Chicago doing the same thing. They had a bunch of locally stolen stuff they couldn't sell in their pawn shop, so they ship it up to us, and we ship our stuff down there. And I got put in charge of running that whole operation for a while. And dude, but when I was young, I was just basically mostly selling weed and just, then of course when I was around 19, 20 years old, when I got bigger, started working out, kind of really got to where I looked like I was a tough kid already. And anyone who knew me, much ever knew me, was freaking terrified of me because I was freaking lunatic. I just wasn't that big. When I got to be about 19, 20, I just started bodybuilding, and I freaking worked out and kind of just blew up and just filled out. I was a late bloomer. So by 20, 21, I'm like 220 pound musclehead,
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even like a steroid thing because I was last. I sold steroids. That was my main racket, was selling steroids. But I didn't do them, and I like to get people to think that I did do them though. Everybody thought I was on them, and I just make me feel good. I'd be like, they're like, man, you're taking this down. I'm like, yeah, it's working on it. And they thought I was on it, but I had done it before a couple times, but not till later on, like my mid 20s. And I didn't like it. It made me like get a whole bunch of water and get bloated, and I looked like freaking marshmallow. I didn't like how it does. It reacted weird in my body. I didn't like it, so anyway, selling steroids. So yeah, it was a good racket for me.
And you actually went out to New York and worked with some guys out there and stayed out there for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, a couple of years I was in Brooklyn and a little bit in Manhattan too for a few months. But yeah, so I worked with some Lucchese guys that were essentially did exactly the same thing that I did back in Detroit, but the same stuff, the same little petty hustles, weed and scams and rackets. And I write about them in my Live Room Chronicles, and I think I shared some of them on my YouTube, but I haven't shared them on my YouTube. I have shared bits and pieces of those stories on my YouTube, but I want to do like a full New York episode where I talk about nothing but New York. And again, there was a lot of crazy things that I'm not going to talk about when I was there too, just things that can't be spoken about anymore. Right. But the ones that I can, and I will.
Yeah, definitely. So you were in New York for a few years, and you went back to Detroit.
Yeah. No, that's a long story. I had not a long story, but I had an indictment that was looming. It originally was a sealed indictment. Then I went on the run for a couple of years, hid, and then the case fell through. Let's put it like that. They were able to convince the star witness recanted what he said, which was that I had any involvement in it. And so after that, I was able to go back home and start over. Same thing. I just went back to Detroit, found my first homeboy, and said, give me 10 pounds of weed, and that was good. Back in the game. Within a week, I was thinking, just all I got to do is get the bunch of my customers rolling back in action, and I'm right back in the streets and calling up my uncle and, hey, what's up? What do you got going? There's always, I'll go to the track, go to the racetrack. I just did a show today talking about Hazel Park Racetrack, which is where I go if I need money. It's where all the wise guys hang out. It was a horse betting track on the east side of Detroit. And it's just basically, it was like a freaking movie, bro. I mean, if you could design a movie set with a bunch of freaking wise guys where they sit around in these little bleachers, this little enclosed area, but so it keeps you out of the sun. This is bleachers. And they'll sit there, bust balls. And this could be like 25 or 30 of them. Crazy. I mean, not all of them are like freaking, wise guys. They're just freaking degenerate gamblers, or loan sharks, or muscle like me, but mostly loan sharks and bookmakers, because the horse bettors like to, shoot, half the time they weren't even there for the horse. They were there to freaking drop a bet on the football game or the freaking square or whatever. So, anyways, if I ever needed money, that's where I would go. I mean, my last resort, because the money didn't pay good, I'd have to go find a bunch of freaking guys who owe money and make them pay. And if they didn't have the money, I'd have to find a way to get the money, which meant basically, okay, what do you got that we can sell? Your car, your freaking... And I've told stories about this on my YouTube. I've had people cash in 401ks, cash out coin collections, sell four-wheelers and snowmobiles and jet skis and cars and boats, on and on and on. Because I don't get paid unless, the bookie or the Shylock gets paid. Now I got to freaking make sure I get paid so that I get the money and go back to them. And they never paid me much anyways, man. It was like maybe, I don't know, 10%. It really wasn't that much. So sometimes it was less. Sometimes it was, like Tony, for example, would always give me like $200. I'm like 3,000 of it. Are you kidding me? Like that. But anyway, so yeah, that track was kind of a place I would go to. If I needed money, someone up there is going to need my help for something. Usually it's tracking out WOs, collecting money for this or that or whatever. But track is, they closed the track. It's kind of sad. The place was ground zero, and it was kind of iconic. I'm sad that it's going away. But yeah, back when I got back from Detroit, that's what I did. Same thing.
All right, talk a little bit about maybe the period where you actually went to prison, like right before and leading up to actually going to prison for 13 years.
Andrew, you sound like Chris Casparosa. It's crazy, man. I feel like I'm talking to him. Like if you had one of those little voice changer things that make your voice a little more deeper, that you sound exactly like he sounds like you. It's crazy.
Shout out to Chris Casparosa. Good guy.
How is he?
No, I just said he's a good guy. I said shout out. I gave him a shout out.
Oh, shout out to Casparosa. He's a good dude. Yeah. So, now, what was the question again?
Well, just talk a little bit about
before prison.
Yeah, the period leading up to you going to prison.
Oh God, dude, the period leading up to me going to prison was basically a lunatic. I was a renegade, rogue, just drug addict. I was on drugs. I was strung out. I was bad, dude. I was it's more than that. I wasn't like some strung out drug addict, but like you might picture in your mind. I had just bought a nice house. My second house. I mean, I had a bunch of cars and toys and jet skis and snowmobiles and four-wheelers and boats and all kinds of crap. I was just also addicted to heroin. And I wasn't like I did this all throughout my 20s. I up and down had an addiction, like pain pills that would lead to heroin, that would lead to like a short stint in jail, then like 3 years clean, and then a couple months on. So anyways, that's what it was. But the last year before I got locked up was like about a year and a half straight of just nonstop. And I had just bought this house, and I had all these bills and all these, I had this lifestyle to maintain. And so it basically made me do things that normally I wouldn't do. I wouldn't get, kind of permission. I wouldn't get signed off to go do it. A lot of it was scumbaggy robberies, and just, bank robberies and crazy stuff that would never get greenlit. And so I didn't, pick up any money to my uncle. And he asked, why I wasn't. And I told him I need to pick the money. He's like, then, we can't help you if you get in trouble, in which they essentially didn't. So when I got in trouble, but it's too late. I already been warned. I had been in trouble a bunch of freaking times. And, drugs, they knew it was drugs. So I just did a bunch of freaking, went on a crime spree, essentially. and then got caught. Went to prison for 13 to 50 years. That was that. So
you go to prison. What inspired you to start writing when you were in prison?
What inspired me to start writing was the fact that I knew I had a gift for this. I knew it. I was reading books. I was in the hole. I was reading books that were the hole for 17 months. I read a lot of books. Most of them were bullshit. I was just like, these books aren't even that good.
Yeah.
I know I could do better. So when I got out of quarantine, I got a pen and paper. I started writing. I wrote my first novel. It took about 6 months to write the rough draft and then rewrite it. So it was like a 1 year process to write it. It's a long book called Second Chance about two high school football players that, one ends up in prison, one ends up in NFL. But they're brothers. They're adopted brothers. Black and white, too. Black dude, white dude. Kind of crazy twist. But anyways, my next book was about a guy's 3 tours in Vietnam, which is pretty cool. But anyways, I just kept writing, bro. And, I just self-taught savant. I knew I had the natural grasp of all great stories have a formula. It's a pretty simple formula, but most people don't know it. But it's either you can try to learn it from a college class or something, or you just have it natural. I happen to have it natural, so I have the ability to sit down and write you a novel. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm literally right now, when I'm done with this, I'm going to go back and work on my novel that I'm working on. Right now, I'm free writing it. I don't need notes. I don't need a Bible. I don't need that. Boom. That's what I do. So it's called Blindsight 2020. It's a political thriller. It's going to be about, it's kind of, imagine it's inspired based on true events from the past 18 months.
All right.
And it'll have an alternative ending. It'll be good. Trust me, I promise you. Anyone who's ever read my book knows I don't play around. You go to my book, they have perfect 5-star reviews, both volumes, and there's a reason, for that. It's not me. I'm saying maybe the books are good. I can't make fake reviews. But anyways, so yeah, that's what I did. I just started grinding. That's freaking the next 13 years grinding, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Did you take any writing classes or anything when you were in prison, or anything to help you with the actual writing process?
No. I did later on at the end. This is after I had written all my novels, and I was in a college program. I got selected for a college program, but that's a great question, because the irony is, I had a couple, like 3, because they were trying to give us all. We were in a test group to see if they gave 140 of us college education, we'd be less likely to recidivate and go back to prison.
Right.
I had to write an essay to apply, to get involved in this. I had to write an essay, which obviously gave me an advantage over the rest of the world. So I wrote an essay, boom, won the scholarship. Now I'm in these classes, and I hated math. I just hated it, but I stuck it out all because I knew it could help me get a parole. I knew if I was in this program that I would likely get a parole. Not in that program, it could go either way, 50-50. You just don't know. Parole officers can be douchebags. But in that program, so I went in. And there were English classes. And I took them, and they were like, putting me in an English comp class is like putting, it's like putting in a tricycle next to a Lamborghini or something in the same race. And it's not. I just blew through these classes like nothing. The professors all knew who I was right away. I went in there, like, his books are all gold. I was like, So well, anyways, there was one class. I got to this one class, and the professor was. I'm not gonna say her name because she follows me. She could see this somewhere. I don't want to say it, but she's kind of a fan. So I felt like she lowered the grading average point scale to cater to these students, but really they needed help. Most of them could barely freaking write a coherent paragraph, and then the other professors were passing them and letting them go ahead. And I'm just like, what happens when these guys get to a job and the boss is, listen, send me up a letter to this company, or this university, or this customer, or whatever, and then they pen it up, and it looks like a freaking 4th grader wrote it.
Yeah.
You're not helping. You're only going to you're making these things work. Because then they're going to look like dumbass. So I kind of said that in a loose way, but it didn't really help. They just, whatever. My professor, by the way, she told me, she's tried to write a book like 5 times in her life and failed every time. And I said, I'm in prison at the time, though. So when I'm telling her, I was like, well, you'll have to read my book. She's like, I will. Well, my wife friend requested her on Facebook. Of course, the lady stayed in contact and watched over the next couple of years. I got out of prison, and I got released and published my book. She bought the book, was blown away by the book, and then came a book signing I was doing, which was crazy, at the Italian Festival in Detroit, a book signing. And she brought her book, and to my thing, gave me a hug, and then had me sign her book. She thought it was cool. I'm a student. And she's like, I said, you finished that book yet? And now she's like, no, I can't do what you do, she said. She's like, unfortunately, not everybody's you. Yeah, well, you live a nice, good life, I'm sure. I was a convict, scumbag, criminal in prison for most of mine. So, I guess everybody, takes good or bad.
Well, you wrote 9 books. It just sounds like you have a natural talent. You're like a natural phenomenon when it comes to writing, which is interesting. Because a lot of authors, take classes, or they were journalists before, or something like that.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. That's what makes me remarkable. That's the reason. Listen, I had this conversation just yesterday with a woman named Karen Tenser, Karen probably doesn't mean anything to you, but she's a publicist for Will and Jada Smith.
Okay.
And so she's a big deal. And I was like, listen, I know, because a lot of people have been trying to sell her, which her own brother is like my biggest fan, and think some dude, I don't know who he is. I mean, I sat up to like Facebook or something, but just some random dude read all my work, read all my books, followed me for the last 4 years, and just thinks freaking I'm a superstar in the making. Well, his sister is this publicist, and he's pushing me all the time. Publicist. I have her number. I've talked to her a couple times. And yesterday I texted her and said, listen, I know the only thing you've seen of me is this YouTube character. I tell some crazy stories. I mean, I'm halfway charming and handsome a little bit for my age. I said, I get all that, so could I be a star? Maybe, maybe not, based on what you've seen or heard from me or whatever. I said, but you haven't read my book. If you read my book, all the other stuff that I just mentioned, the YouTube and the charming and the craziness, and none of that matters, because suddenly all you'll see is a world-class writer. And then you'll go, wow, this world-class writer has a GED, and he spent 13 years in prison, and he was an ex-gangster. I said, that now you have something that's very, very unique. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before, it was just, first, I was just an ex-gangster with a halfway good-looking face and kind of a little bit funny on YouTube, you know. And then the other thing is, I'm a writer. When you combine them, anybody who reads my book, they always look at me differently. They're always going to come back and just completely see me differently. It's like, it's almost like if you knew a mob boss, you didn't know he was a mob boss for years, you treat him a certain way. And all of a sudden, somebody says, you know, that's a mob boss. And then suddenly, when you see the mob boss, you're going to treat him a little different. And I'm not saying like I'm a mob boss. I'm just saying the perception of me changes. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So when you read my book, your perception is no longer just kind of bug-like dude who spent all these years in prison because he was a gangster. You think, wow, man, that dude writes New York Times best-selling world-class novel.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a gangster. So that's what makes me remarkable, is the fact that I had this strange gift. I don't know what I didn't deserve it, but I'm glad I have it, because the cool thing about it is I can keep using it until I'm old. I love writing.
Yeah.
I will sit down in a little while. It's my thing, my passion. It's so easy. It's like, to me, writing a novel is the easiest breathe. Just sitting down and go. My imagination gets to run wild, and I just write. You know, and then the wordplay part is fun too, because now as a writer, you're not just taking these stories. You have to deliver them in a literary way that is going to work for the reader and penetrate the reader's mind and have imagination and create this picture in the reader's mind. You have to do it, use the words in a way that's, you know, very scientific, but that's natural too. Let you have that natural gift. It's just all kind of
it goes
all one thing. So it's pretty easy. So I feel bad for writers who don't have it.
Did you write anything before?
I know a lot of writers
being locked up.
Don't. My friend, I have a friend who's a writer. He's a big writer. Scott Bernstein. So
I know Scott Bernstein. Yep, Gangster Report.
So, yeah, he's my boy. He's like one of my closest friends, one of my best friends. No joke. We talk all the time. But he writes true crime, and that's what he does, right? I try to push him to get into some fiction, and dude, his face lights up, and he just freaking is just like he's like, dude, I would love to get into fiction writing. I'm like, why don't you? He's like, I don't know, it just seems so much whatever. To him, harder. To him, it's harder. I'm like, bro, it's not harder. It's easier. You know, there's no limitation. You're not limited by the facts and the research you did. You can write anything you want. Characters can say anything, do anything, and he just starts smiling like he can't even grasp how fun that would be. I'm like, yeah, bro. You know, we talked about writing a book together, a screenplay together about the Detroit mob. Believe it or not, we're gonna freaking, because dude, what the stuff he's helped me do a freaking Detroit mob special on my YouTube, where we just start. If you go back to the first 2-3 of them and listen to the first couple stories you have, the Detroit Mafia is the most mind-boggling mafia family ever. I'm not even saying like of whatever, if anyone, go listen to the stories and then tell me they aren't. I couldn't even write these stories, and I'm a novelist. Some of the crap that they've done. Go to my my show on YouTube. There's my show, the Detroit Mafia, the Ritz Carlton hit. Go to the Ritz Carlton hit. You don't even feel it seems like you're real. They killed the freaking witness. They found out a guy was going to cooperate. The guy's going to cooperate. Within 48 hours, you won't believe it. They had him transferred, the witness, to a hotel where the entire mob was downstairs having an anniversary party for Tony Jack alone. The whole family, the whole mom, downstairs. From upstairs, the witness that was going to cooperate against them is delivered upstairs. Then the first Fed detail says, okay, listen, you're going to be here a minute by yourself, but the other crew will be here in 10 minutes. The Feds walk away and leave. An assassin comes up there, hog ties them, takes his girl, puts her in the bathroom, infant child in the bathroom with pillowcases around their head. They slit his throat, take his bag, his signature Gucci bag, walk out of there, and then the other Fed detail shows up to this gruesome scene.
Wow.
The mafia killed the dude while they were downstairs partying, while the Feds were supposed to be watching them.
That's crazy.
That's a real story. There's stuff like that. So me and Scott, I'm like, let's do a movie based on these freaking guys. They literally are criminal masterminds. Some of these guys, like Jack Tocco, made it so if you wanted to get your button, not just kill somebody, you need a degree in business. And they all did. They all had degrees. Even Tony had a degree in business. So you think you're running a mill freaking guys?
Nah, they were next level.
Yeah,
they were the cream of the crop.
I mean that's why they've been called the Cadillac of the crime families. But I'm just saying, if you there's a lot of fodder there to make a movie for sure.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Dude, you don't even know how the whole family came into power. It came to be by these two cousins, and then perfect start is like 1970 when the old men are like kind of wanted to retire. They wanted to pass the torch. Uno Zarelli named his son the boss, but then his son gets busted in a huge casino skim in Vegas. He's probably the first one to get busted in a casino skim. He went to prison, so now he names his frickin', the boss had named his son, but his son goes to prison, so now the boss again, so he names his nephew, Jack Tocco, the boss. And so when Tony, the former boss, the one who got busted in the casino, comes out of prison, Jack Tocco named him underboss out of kind of like honorary. He's my cousin, and your dad gave me the family, so I'm going to name you underboss. But then there's a lot of animosity between them. So over the years, they kind of grew to hate each other. They almost got in a fist fight when they were like 80 years old, almost just like crazy. So I'm saying, if we did a movie out of this family, the dynamic, I mean, it would blow the Sopranos away. If we did a show.
Sounds like it. Gunner, now I got to ask you this, since obviously you're from Detroit, you came up around that life. What did you think of the Irishman, and what did you think of that whole story that Frank Sheeran told in general?
Are you kidding me? That was the worst freaking movie. I couldn't even. Me and Scott just did a show debunking this movie. Listen, I was just on Fox News, Fox Nation, with Eric Shaw and did a special called Riddle, and me and Scott were both on it, and I basically told him that the Irishman is a freaking joke. Are you kidding me, dude? The guy's a freaking pathological liar. I mean, nothing he's ever said that he did has been proven that he did.
Yeah.
A. B, that nobody can debunk his timeline because nobody knows. So there's a million things pointing to what's wrong with him. I know some inside stuff that most people don't know about that book. For starters, that book, I Heard You Pay House, was a joke. The agent brought it to the publisher, and they wouldn't publish it. So he said, the agent went back and said, he's going to say he killed Joe Gallo. They're still like, no. He's going to say he killed Jimmy Hoffa. They're like, yeah? Like, okay, boom, we'll take it and we'll publish it. I mean, that's exactly what happened. I'm not even joking. I have a lot of inside knowledge of that whole thing. But Scott Bernstein, by the way, that guy Frank Lyman, the agent, is Scott Bernstein's agent. But that's not where I heard it from. I heard it from somebody else who's way, way higher up the food chain than him. And so, anyways, but I'll tell you what I know. Based on Detroit, they're never in a million years. Here's the thing, bro. Anybody who knows the Detroit Mafia or family or whatever, even a little bit, knows. There's no way in hell they would let some freaking random Irish dude from New Jersey come in their city and handle something of that magnitude on their. It's never happened. So the real story is what happened was decision was made by Tony Jack, probably a couple other people, and a New Jersey Provenzano that this guy's got to go. But he was already ready to go. But it was Scott Bernstein has the most plausible theory of how the whole timeline. He's got all the information the Feds all the Fed tails, all the Fed wires, you got it all. And they know based on who intensely shook the tail and was able to not be found, is obviously the people who would get committed murder. Because normally on that day, they all had their tails, Fed tails. On that day, 4 people shook their tail. And naturally, those are the 4 involved. But what we had, the Frank Sheeran thing was a joke. By the way, I couldn't even finish the movie. I watched the movie with my girlfriend. I thought it sucked. Very boring, very poorly written. I think the acting was bad. I think Al Pacino played Al Pacino. I said he did a great job playing Al Pacino.
Yeah.
And so did Robert De Niro. Did a great job playing Robert De Niro, the same character he plays in everything. And then, and Pesci, he looked like he didn't want to be there. He seemed like he was stiff and just kind of like too much makeup on him. And just like they said $200 million worth of freaking CG to make them look younger. Are you kidding me? They look like they're freaking Walking Dead. Like, it's freaking these guys. I didn't like the movie. I didn't watch it after they shot him in the head. I was like, well, see, I'm a writer, bro. I'm somebody who writes and appreciates truly good plot with layers of plot, subplot, really well developed characters. I really like to be wild in my story. If I'm going to watch a movie, I want to be wild by it. Or to me, comic, I want to be laughing at all times. But that movie had no wow factor to me, The Irishman. It just was slow and boring and lame and predictable from A to Z, start to finish. It's a shame. Scorsese. My wife even said yesterday, you don't even want Scorsese to direct your book. My book gets picked up on a movie. You wouldn't even want Scorsese. I'm like, well, I'd like to think Scorsese did the best he could with that bad script and that bad movie.
Yeah.
And that freaking make miracles out of my book. But my book sells itself, man. I had so many people. I had one guy, crazy ass tech guy, but he told me, he said, you couldn't screw up your book. There's nothing they could do to screw it up. If you give it to any director in Hollywood, all they got to do is make it. They could have crappy actors. So it's going to freaking be a hit. I'm like, yeah, I know, but not that easy getting it in the hands of them.
Now, you're working on turning one of your books, To Be a King Volume 1, into a movie, right? Is that still happening?
Well, yeah, that's the whole plan at all times. Yeah, exactly. But no, I don't have any like takers at the time.
Okay.
Who was option the movie. No, the only interesting thing that had happened to me a little while back was that there's this company that like categories or files a little intellectual property for big like Hollywood companies who might be interested in whatever. Anyways, they called me and they asked me if my book is the intellectual property still available. I said, yeah, why? And they're like, you own it. I said, yeah. And like, somebody's inquiring. And I was like, so I called them back. I'm like, yo, who was it inquiring? He's like, I can't tell you, but I can tell you if somebody made it. That's all I can tell you. I'm like, that's good news. Hopefully freaking somebody buys it. But I never heard it back. So, all it takes for me is getting my book into the right hands of the right people at the right time. That's it.
Yeah.
So what I have going is I got Scott Bernstein, who's always working his way up the ladder too. That's how I help. He's my friend. But Larry Mazza just got his book. Larry Mazza's another one of my good friends. He just got his book optioned, and by this billionaire. And they got Nicholas Pileggi, who is the director for Casino, writing the script for it. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, sounds
Larry's
like it.
always talking about. Yeah, Larry, it's based on his book called Life, and it's going to be a series, like a Sopranos type series, but kind of loosely based on Greg Scarpa and Larry Mazza's life. So, but he's always saying, dude, they're always asking about like other projects, future projects. He's like, he says every time, to be a king, my book. You got to Larry. Don't even worry about my book. Don't worry about it. When your thing blows up, takes off, then we'll worry about mine. You know what I'm saying? Until then, enjoy the ride and freaking have fun and get it made.
Well, I think eventually it'll happen for you because you have a lot of books and you're a great writer and you have an interesting story that's authentic. And I think people,
and the book's not about one genre.
No, exactly. You can make multiple movies. I mean, you can make
everything's a mob book.
Exactly. They could turn several of your books into movies, I think.
Yeah, no. Every one of my books would adapted would make great movies, man. I mean, I have one that's kind of a comedic drama that would be. I really jumped around in my genre just because I wanted to test myself. I wanted to write what I read, or wanted to read, which are multiple genres. I don't read just one genre. So I decided I wrote a Jason Bourne type of book, like a action suspense, a comedic drama, 2 sports in one, the military in one. I mean, they will all be adapted. Someday they will all be movies. You know, even if I die, God forbid, if I died, if you're alive for the next 20, 25 years, you'll see every one of them made into a movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
The only thing that would stop it is if I die, and then they'll still see it because then my people who own the rights to it still own the rights, my wife and whoever, they're going to get it made. So you gotta, if once you read my books, then you'll understand. It's hard to say something like that, to be taken seriously. You know, when if they haven't read it, it's like, it's just like saying, listen, I see that pie right there. It's the best tasting pie you ever had in your life. Amazing. I'm telling you right now, it's the best pie you ever had. If you haven't tasted it, you would know. So do you believe it is? You believe that's the best pie that could ever be out there? Yeah, probably not. Yeah. So you're just like, it's probably some pie. Yeah, it might be good pie. It's probably not. And then you eat it and you go, holy crap, it's the best pie I've ever had. Now your ability to sell the idea of it is much greater. Now you believe in it. So that's why I tell people who read my book, if you read my book, you'll understand that you'll pause at the end of the book and shut the book. There's volume 2. You go, dude, if this was made into a movie, it would be the equivalent of like The Godfather, but maybe better. So because Godfather 3 was not that great. I'm going to make sure that To Be a King 3 has a better ending than Godfather 3.
Yeah, I think you're on course to do that. I'm sure. You know what you're doing, so I think it'll come out really good.
Yeah, well, read the first 2. So
I'm going to absolutely. No, definitely.
Yeah, just read them. Trust me. You'll spend the freaking $20. When you do, you'll read. You'll finish the book. You sit back and go, you know what? He told me. I heard him saying it over and over again. These books are going to blow your mind. But dude, there was nothing that he could have said that would have prepared me for this mind blow. Trust me, I will blow your mind. And you won't say, oh, he's a mob writer either. He's like, dude, this guy's straight up freaking is a writer. He's a freaking like F1 writer. You know what I'm saying? He's not just a guy who writes mafia stuff. This guy's a straight up writer.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's the only legacy that I want. That's the only legacy that I ever want to have in life. Is not the mafia writer, because that's what I'm kind of getting away from writing mafia. I could publish other books right now. I have other books that get published. And one of them kind of gangster lean. I'm going with this political thriller called Blindside 2020. And the reason I'm doing that is I don't want to be pigeonholed as this like, he's the mafia writer. Oh, he's the mafia writer. He's the mafia writer. I'm like, no, I'm a writer. I mean, I could write your dissertation and blow your mind. Writing is what I do. But
now you also have a clothing line called Our Thing. How did you get into that?
I feel like I'm talking to Chris Casparosa. I got into that because I was promoting my book, and I took the cover of my book, put it on a hoodie, took some pictures, I put it on the back, and put Detroit Our Thing enclosed, and started showing it around Facebook, and people were like, yo, I love that hoodie. Can I get one of those? And I'm from New Jersey. I'm like, yeah, I can put New Jersey on that. So I asked the printer, and so I started making other designs, and then before you know it, we got a full clothing line, OurThingApparel.com. We got tracksuits, hoodies, jackets, windbreakers, duffel bags, backpacks, hats. We got everything. And our stuff is fly, too. And the best part about our stuff is it's custom, meaning you get a tracksuit for $120, which I think I'm going to raise the price to like $150, to be honest with you, because I ain't making enough. I'm just saying. This is a lot of what we do is they're embroidered on one side. It's like your city, and it has our logo, which is the silent gangster. Like you have to just look at our logo. It's the silent gangster, like a dude in the fedora with it's not lame, but you think like I'm describing it. And then it says Our Thing, and then on the other side, on the chest, you'll see your name. So it's like mine says Gunner, and then on the back, it's green. It says Detroit, has our logo, and Our Thing big on the back. Now, wherever you're from, it'll say your city, our logo, Our Thing on the back. So
that's dope.
Pretty cool.
That's cool that you do the custom. That you do the custom tracksuits and hoodies and stuff. That a lot of companies don't do that.
Yeah, no, I mean we got it narrowed down to the major cities anyway. But even if you don't have your city, you can you can pay $20 and get a screen made and do your own city, and you can do as many as you want. Once you buy the screen, your own screen, and you can do them 50 or 100. You buy as many as you want. But just a one-time screen fee is $20 because that's what the printer charges me. So.
No, that's cool. Everyone check out Our Thing clothing brand. Where is that available exactly? Is it
OurThingApparel.com.
OurThingApparel.com. Okay, cool.
That's it.
Cool. Cool, man. So everyone check that out. Support the cause. Gunner, you want to give out your social media contacts, website again, where people can reach you, where people can get the books?
YouTube again.
YouTube, everything.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. So my website is Gunner Detroit. Everything's Gunner Detroit, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So my Instagram is Gunner Detroit. My Facebook is Gunner Lindbloom, Alan Gunner Lindbloom, Gunner Lindbloom. But it's maxed out, and I don't even go on Facebook. Honestly, it's lame. But my YouTube is Gunner Detroit. My Patreon is Gunner Detroit. So it's patreon.com/Gunner Detroit. But yeah, just go to my YouTube. It's the best place. Like, I'm most active there. I post videos almost every day of just crazy crap that I used to get into when I was back in the day. But sometimes crazy stuff that is on my mind now, really. But so that's just what I got going on. And so yeah, Art Day Apparel and Gunner Detroit, GunnerDetroit.com. Yeah, that's the place to be.
So basically, everyone out there, just look up Gunner Detroit on social media. Go to GunnerDetroit.com, and you'll see everything that this guy's doing, and it's great stuff. It's quality work, great writing.
New book coming out.
Yeah, you got a new book coming out too, right? Are you working on one right now?
Yep. Finishing up a new book. It's going to take a while. I'm talking probably 5 or 6 months before I'm done with it. But yeah, it's called Blind Flight 2020, inspired by the true events of our last 18 months. And then I'm writing an alternate ending in, which is probably not going to be favorable for us, but I'm just saying it will be entertaining, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So then, check out my books, To Be a King, Volume 1 and 2, To Be a King, To Be a King. Search my name, Gunner Lindbloom, To Be a King, and get them. Read the reviews. All I can say is this. Go on there and read the reviews. There's no way to fake reviews on Amazon, so they're not on books, so legit, just read it. That's all I got.
All right, well, Gunner, that was great. Thank you for coming on. We will post all the links for you and promote everything that you got going on. And any last words?
Dude, that's an awesome Ice Cube song. Are you kidding me? You remember? You got any last words? Never. So I'm going to say, my last words are this: if you're Chris Casparosa.
My name is Chris too, so but I'm Chris. I'm not Chris Casparosa. Trust me.
I'm gonna say, well, if this is Chris, call me later, bro. We'll talk about it.
Let me shout out Chris Casparosa again, though. I'll shout him out one more time.
Chris Casparosa, man, give me a call. It's been a minute. It's been about a year. But I will say this: the other guy you sound like is Angry Prepper. Have you ever heard of him?
I don't think so. What is it?
Oh, look him up. Look him up. He's a New York guy. He's a mixed guy. He's black. He sounds white. He sounds like you. Sounds exactly like you. I don't know if you're black. Could be.
No,
black.
I'm white. I'm white as hell. I'm fucking white as fucking.
Yeah, it's like pink.
I got a red beard. I got a red beard. I'm a fucking straight white boy.
Right. Do you know who Nino Caniglio is?
No.
I don't know why that sounds
you gotta look him up too. Nino Caniglio is the freaking king of pizza, bro. He's from Brooklyn. He is a 10-time world champion pizza maker.
Oh, word. I love pizza too.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, he's from Brooklyn. He's a dude. He sounds just like him too, but he's got red hair, freaking like a red beard. He's Daggle though, believe it or not, he's Italian.
Okay, cool.
Look him up. He's a crazy freaking dude. Look him up. He's an OG. He's a good person to know. He's all New York, man. He owns New York. Are you kidding me? That dude's freaking. He is the 10-time world champion pizza maker based out of Brooklyn.
His pizza
that
must
dude
be
is freaking like. Yeah, that dude's like a superstar. Dude. He walks down the street like much freaking Jordan. But anyway, yeah, man, he's good. Take it easy, man. It's good talking to you guys.
Yeah, bro. Thank you. Gunner Lindbloom, everybody. Make sure you support everything that he's doing. And thank you for coming on once again. And we will talk soon.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
Yeah. Give me the link when this goes out. I'll share it.
Absolutely, sure. Bro. You already know.
All right, guys.
All right.
Good.
Have a good night.
Street Corner Soapbox. We're fucking out of here.
Peace.
Hey.
That's right, boys and girls. Street Corner Soapbox. Now, we all know during this crazy time with the pandemic, businesses are struggling. So we're here to support local businesses, and we need your help to do so also.
That's right. So subscribe to our Patreon, become a member to help support the show, and receive exclusive episodes and bonus content, as well as discounts on merch. That's patreon.com/streetcorner_soapbox2020.
Follow us on our website, streetcornersoapbox.com.
The Street Corner Soapbox.
If you're a fan of the podcast, you can help support the show by donating to our PayPal at paypal.me/streetcornersoapbox.
That's right, guys. Make sure to like and share all of our episodes. And for easier access to our show, check out our link tree at linktr.ee/streetcornersoapbox.